You're listening to the Everything Jewish 10 Minutes at a Time podcast, where you'll learn about every Jewish topic imaginable in about 10 minutes. And as always, I apologize for all of my Hebrew pronunciation. I know I'm going to pronounce Hebrew words wrong, so instead of getting annoyed, I give you permission to laugh at how I say things. Today's topic is an overview of kosher for Passover. Now, if regular kosher sounds complicated with its no bacon, no cheeseburger rules, buckle up, because Passover takes it to a whole new level. Think of it as kosher on hard mode. For 8 days, 7 in Israel, Jews avoid not just pork and shellfish, but also bread, pasta, beer, cereal, cookies, pretzels. Basically anything that rises, puffs, or fluffs. Why? Because the Torah says the Israelites left Egypt in such a hurry, they didn't have time for their dough to rise, so matzah became the official bread of freedom. To honor that, Jews ditch chametz, leavened grain products, and switch to matzah and a whole range of substitutes. That's why your supermarket suddenly has an entire kosher for Passover aisle in April, filled with strange foods like potato starch cake mixes and Coke with yellow caps. So, what exactly counts as chametz? The big 5 grains: wheat, barley, rye, oats, and spelt. If they've come in contact with water and fermented even a little, they're off limits. That means no bread, bagels, pizza, or beer. Yes, beer drinkers suffer most on Passover. Matzah is the exception because it's baked super quickly, under 18 minutes from water to oven, so it doesn't rise. That's why matzah tastes like a giant crunchy cracker. All flour, no fluff. Beyond chametz, Ashkenazi Jews from Eastern Europe traditionally avoid kitniot too, rice, beans, corn, and legumes, because they look too similar to grains and could cause confusion. Sephardi Jews from Spain, North Africa, and the Middle East usually do eat them, which means Sephardi kids get to enjoy hummus, while Ashkenazi kids glare jealously over a plate of plain potatoes. These rules keep Passover kitchens busy and occasionally cranky, but they also create some of the holiday's most iconic food traditions. The prep for Passover is legendary. Weeks before the holiday, Jewish families go full Marie Kondo on their kitchens. Cabinets are scrubbed, appliances cleaned, and every crumb hunted down like it's a crime scene investigation. Some families even sell their chametz, literally, to a non-Jewish neighbor or through the rabbi, so technically they don't own it during the holiday. It's a mix of spring cleaning, spiritual reset, and ancient loophole magic. Then comes swapping in special Passover dishes, pots, and utensils that never touched chametz. It's like having a whole second kitchen stored in boxes marked Pesach only. For many families, this prep is a bonding ritual. Kids search for hidden chametz with a candle and feather the night before the holiday in a symbolic chametz hunt. It's part scavenger hunt, part pyromania, since the chametz is then burned in a small fire. By the time Passover starts, kitchens are pristine and chametz-free, ready for 8 days of matzah madness. Kosher for Passover certification gets very specific. That little kosher for Passover label means the product has been checked to contain no chametz, and depending on custom, no kitniot either. That's why you see Passover versions of everything: cake mixes made with potato starch, cereal made with matzah meal, and soda made with real sugar instead of corn syrup. A big deal for Coke fans. Some products are kosher year-round, but not for Passover because they use additives derived from grains. Even toothpaste and medicines sometimes need to be checked, since chametz-based starches can sneak in. Rabbis publish guides listing which brands of dish soap, coffee, or painkillers are Passover-friendly. It can feel overwhelming, but it's also a quirky tradition of its own. Scanning labels, checking lists, and swapping tips with friends about which Passover cookies actually taste good. Spoiler, very few. It's like Judaism meets consumer detective work, with a side of matzah ball soup. So what do people actually eat on Passover? Matzah, obviously. It's the star of the show, from simple matzah with butter to elaborate matzah lasagna, matzagna, if you will. Matzah meal becomes the base for everything from pancakes to dumplings. Potatoes, eggs, and vegetables step up as staples. There's a reason so many Jewish jokes revolve around potatoes at Passover. Traditional foods vary by community. Ashkenazi Jews eat gefilte fish, brisket, kugel made with potatoes instead of noodles, and endless matzah ball soup. Sephardi Jews bring in rice dishes, stuffed vegetables, and spiced lamb. Dessert usually involves macaroons, the coconut kind, not the French pastry, and flourless cakes. Some recipes are surprisingly delicious. Others are, let's say, historically significant. But the creativity is part of the charm, finding ways to cook delicious food with half the pantry off limits. Think of it as Chopped Passover edition, where the basket always contains matzah and potatoes. One of the most iconic Passover foods is haroset, the sweet paste of fruits, nuts, and wine eaten at the Seder, to represent the mortar the Israelites used in Egypt. It's not technically a kosher for Passover requirement, but it shows how food becomes symbolic. Same with the bitter herbs, maror, and roasted shank bone on the Seder plate. All these foods remind Jews of the Exodus story, blending memory and ritual in every bite. Wine, too, must be kosher for Passover, meaning no grain-based additives. 4 cups of wine or grape juice are drunk at the Seder, so stocking up is essential. The food rules may feel restrictive, but they create a unique holiday vibe. Nothing tastes like Passover except Passover itself. Years later, people can remember their grandmother's kugel or the way their dad made matzah brai and instantly feel transported back to holiday tables. Food is memory, and kosher for Passover rules keep those memories distinct. Passover restrictions also have a spiritual side. The rabbis saw chametz, puffed up, risen bread, as a symbol of arrogance and ego. Getting rid of it wasn't just about crumbs, it was about humility. Eating matzah, the bread of affliction, is meant to remind Jews of slavery in Egypt, but also to live simply and gratefully. That's why the holiday is both about cleaning your kitchen and your soul. Kosher for Passover becomes more than a diet, it's a spiritual cleanse. In a way, Passover is the original detox plan, though instead of kale smoothies, you get brisket and horseradish. Whether or not people think about the symbolism while eating matzah pizza, the tradition carries layers of meaning: physical, historical, and spiritual. It's one of those times when Jewish law isn't just about food. It's about shaping how people think, live, and celebrate freedom. Of course, not everyone keeps kosher for Passover the same way. Some Jews follow every detail strictly, using separate dishes and avoiding even the smallest crumb of chametz. Others might just avoid bread, but not worry about additives. Some buy only foods labeled kosher for Passover, while others keep it simpler. The diversity reflects Jewish life itself, multiple levels of observance, all tied to the same holiday. In Israel, where matzah fills supermarket shelves weeks in advance, Passover food culture is everywhere. In the diaspora, kosher markets transform into Passover wonderlands for a couple of weeks, then vanish like Cinderella's carriage. Either way, kosher for Passover unites Jews around the world in a shared, if sometimes comical, culinary struggle. Because nothing bonds people quite like collectively complaining about dry cakes and the joys of matzah-induced constipation. Modern times have made kosher for Passover both easier and stranger. Food companies produce endless substitutes: Passover pizza, Passover pasta, even Passover bagels made with potato starch. Some taste surprisingly good. Others should probably be tried once and then forgotten forever. There are gluten-free Passover products for people who can't eat wheat at all, making matzah less of a challenge. The internet is filled with creative recipes, from flourless chocolate cakes to matzah nachos. Technology has also made supervision easier. Rabbis now track global supply chains to ensure ingredients stay chametz-free. What started as avoiding bread has become a full-blown international food industry. Some people love the creativity, others roll their eyes. But either way, kosher for Passover has adapted beautifully to modern kitchens. It's one of the best examples of how an ancient command still reshapes how millions of people eat every spring. So, that's kosher for Passover in about 10 minutes. 8 days without chametz, a lot of matzah, and a whole lot of creativity. It's about cleaning, shopping, checking labels, and then feasting on symbolic foods that tell the story of the Exodus. It's equal parts restriction and celebration, turning every meal into a reminder of freedom. Whether you're strict about it or just dabble, kosher for Passover creates a holiday atmosphere like nothing else. One where even Coca-Cola bottles get a special makeover with yellow caps. Thanks for joining me for this overview of kosher for Passover. Stick around for the next episode, where we'll explore another Jewish topic in about 10 minutes.